here's what I know about Wells Fargo and about this man. Wells Fargo was there with us after the Rodney King riots in 1992. They are the first major bank to give us a check and to give us some credibility when we were trying to make our way in this space, when nobody gave us any attention whatsoever. We then pioneered Banking on Our Future Together, our financial literacy program. We helped work with them with their hands-on banking program, which has now helped millions of people. The Bankers Bus Tours that we did together. And over the years, we even called out, it was Brad Blackwell and I called forth the subprime mortgage crisis in 2008, and everybody laughed at Brad and I. And unfortunately, we were correct. And so they don't get any credit for all the good things that they did. Because when you get nailed, that's all anybody remembers. So here's what I have to tell you. They screwed up. And when you screw up, you got to take the lumps. And I can feel this because I've had somebody steal while wearing the badge of Operation Hope. I've had somebody in my name with a big title take money and put it in his pocket. I've had other people sit in front of my clients and take a fee, and we don't charge a fee to anybody. But when that call comes in, no one wants an excuse. No one wants an explanation. They just want the guy or lady in charge to just say, we screwed up, we're wrong, and we're gonna fix it. And I had to stand in front of that bullet a half dozen times in 25 years, and luckily my word meant something. But I can relate to what's going on because I've been there myself, and I appreciate that people gave me a chance to prove that was not about the whole culture of my organization. That was just one person in my organization that got it wrong. This is a good man. Jon Campbell is blessed by some of the heroes and sheroes in our civil rights movement, some of which were on the stage last night. He knows the same people that we know. He runs in the same circles. Heck, he might actually really be black and just be sort of profiling over here.
No, it's Native American.
Native American.
Yeah.
Native American. But here's another reason why you need to be very nice to Jon Campbell. Put all that aside, all the high-mindedness. I like Tim Sloan, the CEO. I think they're sort of they're coming around the corner. You know, Daryl Harmon. Put all aside for a moment. This is the guy that writes all the big checks for Wells Fargo for community reinvestment nationwide. And on that point, give him a big applause.
Well, as my dad would say, don't sell past the close. It's been really nice to be here. I'm only kidding. Now, I know you're all wondering, how much did that cost, Campbell? Well, I can tell you, honestly, we treat everybody pretty equitably, so didn't pay John anything extra. Seriously, it's really nice to be here, and you don't know how nice it is to have people like John Hope Bryant say what he just said. So, John, thank you. Really, really, really appreciate that. And we do really appreciate our relationship with Operation Hope and lots of others here. It's one thing I know about helping communities is that you can't do it by yourself. None of us are capable of helping our communities and our citizens be successful. It truly requires all of us to come together. So Wells Fargo is lucky to be able to work with so many to make things happen. And John's right, we did kind of step in some stuff, and we're working really hard to try and rebuild that trust. It's really important in our business. Frankly, that's about all we have. When you think about it, you give us your money, your assets, and you expect us to safeguard that for you. If we violate your trust, it kind of gets at the fundamental purpose of what we do, which is aggregating deposits and then trying to lend it back to people to make their lives and our economy better. So we do apologize for the mistakes we've made, and I can promise you we're working as hard as we possibly can to get things fixed up so we can make sure we keep your trust in mind. So a couple of thoughts about my experience with Operation Hope. John talked about the fact that it's 17 years old. I actually met John Hope Bryant, and I think it was 2008, and I'll never forget how we did it. He wanted me to learn about Operation Hope, so I said, okay, that'd be great. And what I said was, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go to one of your centers, and you can come an hour and a half after I've been there. And so I went to Oakland to visit the center in Oakland. And I think John was a little put off by the fact that I said, and I don't want you there until I've had a chance with the staff for an hour and a half. And so I sat with all the counselors in the office in Oakland, one by one, asked them what they did, learned how they did it, talked about their clients. They were confidential. They didn't give us the names. And then an hour and a half, John came in. And I remember we went into the conference room in Oakland, and I said, you know what? You don't have to say anything. I just spent an hour and a half with your team observing how they actually help people in Oakland make things happen. And so my kind of backward approach of maybe offending John by not letting him be first, but actually to talk to the staff was an important point for me, and I will never forget that day in Oakland because that was the transformation for me. And so over time, the Wells Fargo team, and I have a bunch of Wells Fargo, that's who I was waving to, my Wells Fargo buddies, are here today, but a couple I want to call out. I don't think Daryl Harmon's here. John mentioned Daryl. Daryl runs the Southeast for us. He actually is the day-to-day connection to John. And I think Candy Moore is here somewhere. Where's Candy? I can't see her. There she is, Candy. And Candy works on the relationship. So to the whole Wells Fargo team, thanks for everything that you do. The beauty to the Wells Fargo Operation Hope relationship is we have the same types of goals, and that makes relationships substantially easier, I think. And I just want to mention them. We're both all about financial literacy, so it's easy for us to work together, as John mentioned. We also believe in trying to increase business role models for our communities, and so we work together on that. Third, we both care a lot about the unbanked and the underbanked, and actually for us, our role is more with the underbanked. It's the people who have already begun that transition that we believe we can actually help going from underbanked to banked. It's a bit harder for us, candidly, to actually help the unbanked. And then certainly, we believe completely in small business and helping entrepreneurs grow. And so that's why this relationship has been able to be so successful. And so just a little bit of advertising, because that's why you do these things. I don't like advertising, but there are some stories about Wells Fargo I would like to mention. So there are a couple things I'm really proud of, and it's helped by scope and scale, so let's be candid about that. But the fact that we're the largest lender year in and year out to people of color and people in low and moderate income neighborhoods means a lot to me. I think that it's one of the things that when I come to groups like this that I can be proudest of. That's a big accomplishment, and we've had a few people say that you can take the second, third, and fourth largest lenders after us in those spaces, and when you add them up, it's still smaller than Wells Fargo by itself. We take our lending to people of color in low and moderate communities very, very seriously. We've put commitments in place to try and accomplish that. We have an African American mortgage commitment. We have a Hispanic mortgage commitment because we know that if we don't put ourselves out there to try and serve those communities, we may underserve. So we take it seriously. And then on the small business front, even though you might have heard that CIT is the largest small business lender, well, maybe they are. Yeah, they can be the largest. Then we'll be the second largest. That's fine. But we know that small business and entrepreneurism is critical to this company's economy. Take it however you want, but local economies are driven by small business, and in particular, the innovation. So if we can do anything to help the number of small businesses which create jobs and create local stability in economies, we want to do that. So those are a couple of things that I'm just really proud something else that John led right into, we do believe in corporate citizenship. It's very important to us. We believe it's an important part of our culture, and we don't want to just be a good corporate citizen. We actually want to be the leader in corporate citizenship. And I often say that writing the checks is the easy part. It really is. Writing the checks is the easy part. But at the same time, we shouldn't be bashful. This year, we're increasing our total philanthropy at Wells Fargo by 40%, up to $400 million in 2018. Thank you very much. That's a big bump. Last year was about $290 million, so to get to 400, that's a pretty big jump. But even more importantly, I think, we also announced that going forward, starting in 2019, we will target our total philanthropy at 2% of our after-tax profits. And so I think that's not, so we will be able to continue to grow as the company succeeds by making sure we're helping in communities across the country. So once again, it's another pride point for myself. But as I say, philanthropy is not the only part. I think the critical part for corporate America is to figure out two additional pieces. And I know it's what I try to do at Wells Fargo most every day. Number one, are your products and services actually meeting the needs of your whole community? And I think that's a critical question for all of us in corporate America to actually ask. Are we building corporate responsibility into our products and services? And that's one of the things that many of us at Wells Fargo spend our time on. And then the other issue are our business operations also run with a corporate social responsibility element to them. And I think it's only when you can build that stool of corporate philanthropy, products and services, and business operations that you can actually become a great corporate citizen. So I'm going to wrap up, but I want to say one other thing. We know that in communities and in this wealth gap that this whole conference is about, we know one of the reasons that wealth gaps exist is differences in home ownership. And unfortunately, we know the housing crisis that began in 2007 but became abundantly evident in 2008, 9, and 10, we know that it's actually created even more disparity in home ownership. And so in 2012, Wells Fargo was trying to figure out what could we do, and this is one of those cases where we can't solve the problem, but we wanted to think about what we might be able to do to help get in home ownership for certain communities that have been hurt more back on their feet. And we came up with a program called Neighborhood Lift. Some of you have maybe been able to participate in Neighborhood Lift, but it's a down payment assistance program that was really designed to help create stability in the neighborhoods that had been hurt the most through the foreclosure crisis. And so we've now done 57 events, 57 cities, starting in 2012, where we've actually helped create almost 17,000 homeowners because of the down payment assistance program. I think the last statistic I saw, 63% of those 17,000 happen to be people of color. So it certainly has always been intended to help serve the underserved communities, whether it be by income or by race. So I'm really proud of that 17,000 homeowners. It's taken $372 million to create those 17,000 home buyers. A number I also love is 54,000 people have received training. So 17,000 have actually gotten down payment assistance, but we believe that proper counseling and training is critical to being a successful homeowner. And so that 54,000 means as much to me as the 17,000. Okay, so here's the tease, and I'll get off the stage. Guess where the next Neighborhood Lift event is going to be in just about 1 month. It's going to be right here in Atlanta. Atlanta was the second city where we did a Neighborhood Lift event in 2012. Los Angeles was first, Atlanta was second, and we're happy to be coming back to Atlanta on May 4th and 5th of this year. Over $6 million of down payment assistance right here. That's one small way that Wells Fargo tries to help create home ownership in communities all across the country. Thanks for listening to me. Have a great conference. Bye-bye.